All units, Irene. I say again, Irene.
Finding sports and recreational activities that are both fun and accommodating for individuals with disabilities can be a challenge. It is important to have an environment in which they can experience success, make friends, and where the sport or recreational activity is modified to fit the individual's unique abilities. Read our adaptive sports and recreation issue for free by going to www.epmagazine.com and signing up for EP for free.
The first generation of Fight Camp revolutionized the at-home boxing game by allowing you to track your punches and your output in real time and see your long-term progress. And after years of learning, research, and feedback, we went back to the drawing board to bring you, drumroll please, the new Fight Camp Experience console. With this upgraded experience, you can now access the next level of Fight Camp. Starting with partner workouts. No need for just one person. You can now have another person work out with you. And our console does hold up to 4 trackers. An updated round-by-round scoring and punch goals, plus celebrations of new achievements to keep you motivated. A new look and feel on your live screen. You also will have simplified streaming, an easy step-by-step setup for a seamless experience. The console itself is also a charging dock, so you never have to worry about losing your trackers or them dying. As soon as you're done, stick them on it and you're good to go. Connect directly through an Ethernet cable if needed. And it's optimized for multiple accounts. In summary, if you like the first generation of Fight Camp, then you are going to love the new Fight Camp experience. So if you want more information, make sure you go to joinfightcamp.com to upgrade your experience today. This is Fight Camp, an interactive training camp from the comfort of your own home. Tutorials and guided paths walk you step by step through the basics and sharpen your technique over time. Punch tracking technology and leaderboards provide you built-in motivation to help you hit your goals. Learn more at fightcamp.com.
The brain to perfect the body.
Am I under arrest?
You've assaulted an innocent man in front of his wife and baby girl. Do you remember any of that?
Does the defendant have any priors?
Resisting arrest, DUI, assault.
My client has been awarded a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star Medal for his combat service.
I'm ordering you to undergo a 60-day outpatient rehabilitation program. Good luck.
Nah, I'm not doing that. Do you know what the VA's put me through?
If you have a brain in your head, you're going to listen to me right now. Because the next time you try to provoke a lethal response from law enforcement, you might not have an angel sitting on your shoulder.
The courts think that you're gonna fix me.
I hate to disappoint you, but I can't fix you. That's your job, not mine.
Did you know that your father got out?
He's a dangerous man, Calvin. Be careful.
We came back and they spat on us at the airport. No homecoming parade, no celebrations.
You can't pretend like you have any idea what it's like to be in combat.
No, but what I do know is this field of work that I've dedicated my life to has helped a lot of people.
When you got back, something was different. It wasn't that you'd changed. You'd been replaced.
You lose your morality when you go to war. And the hard part is coming back to a civilian society that doesn't have any idea what's going on in your head.
It's hard to believe my enemy is the man I used to be.
I bet you wonder, where's my tribe? And I ain't talking about no friendship neither. I'm talking about brotherhood.
What is it that you truly want, Calvin?
I just want to wake up in the morning and feel something.
My pain is relative, son. Sometimes we gotta fall apart to find ourselves all over again.
You were willing to give your life for your country. Now maybe you can try living for it.
What are you feeding this guy? Look at this.
What do you want? I did 4 tours.
Of the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh! Okay. Little spicy, little spicy.
The movie, music, news, television promos, trailers, and videos used by Oscar Mike Radio are protected by the Fair Use Act. Section 107 of the Copyright Act. 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for non-profit educational purposes. 2. The nature of the copyrighted work. 3. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work.
What does a life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. It looks like leading for all veterans, helping shape policies to make certain they get the benefits they've earned, and ensuring every veteran's voice is heard. It looks like advancing to meet today's veterans where they are, lifting them up, and strengthening the bond that unites us. It looks like rolling up our sleeves, serving those in need, and cleaning up our communities to make them better for everyone. Because a veteran's mission never truly ends, and neither does ours. The VFW, still leading, still advancing, still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
Hello and welcome to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is co-produced with Sinister One Productions. What's your podcast doing? I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asak Vasak Real Estate, Danielle Rocco with Echo 6 Creations, and my supporters, Cason Shaving Company, Exceptional Parent Magazine, and Fight Camp. Be your strongest combination. So I'm just going to call this now. This is the, we're right after 10 years, episode 500. We're starting off hot. And I always enjoy talking to Air Force veterans. And they get their, we kid them a whole lot. We make fun of them. We give them some, grief. But I joined the Marine Corps from an Air Force town. So it's really kind of funny how that worked out. And I just want to thank Evocati Public Relations for referring my next guest to me. Justin Jordan with the Warrior's Heart has an amazing story, an amazing org he's with. Justin, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Well, thank you so much. It's truly my pleasure, and I'm sure we'll get some jabs back and forth, Air Force and Marine, while we have our conversation.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of it. I went to this I think it's Andrews in California, and I'm like, wow, this is how the other half lives. I mean, there was cloth napkins on the chow hall. It was a different world, and I joined out of Shreveport Bossier.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of you all have been through there, some not, but there was KC-10s, B-52s, and A-10s at the time I was there. So you have a very interesting story. You joined fairly young at 19, and you do a lot of different things in the Air Force. What was that like going through that part of your life, Justin?
Well, it was interesting. I come from a small town, Henderson, Kentucky. So I grew up kind of in the 1900s, as they say. I'm an old guy now. So, I wanted to get out of that small town, and the military represented a way to do that and travel the world and get my education paid for. And my parents are both teachers. So, and I can remember vividly my dad, who was an administrator, he was a principal. He said, college isn't for everyone, son. And I tried community college. It didn't work. I just, and then I said, hey, let's go. I just really fell in love with the Air Force. It was kind of by happenstance. I met the recruiters. I had taken the ASVAB from the Army, didn't get a warm fuzzy. I was like, I don't know. I'm looking for something else. Coast Guard didn't seem interested, but I was, the Air Force, I was drawn to them, their culture and, their business-like attitude and that kind of thing really helped me out to make that decision. And I'm glad I did. I spent 20 years in. Like you mentioned, I spent a lot of times doing different things in the Air Force.
If I may,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because, in the Marine Corps especially, if you're, you're pretty much, except for your B builds, doing pretty much the same thing you went in when you signed
Yeah.
up. But it seemed like from learning about you that you've worn a lot of different hats in the Air Force. Was that by design or just the flexibility the Air Force had to allow you to pursue different career paths?
Well, that's a great question. And actually, I was in the same career field my entire 20 years. It's
Okay.
just it is a very eclectic bunch. So when I started, it was called services, or excuse me, services. And then it transitioned into Force Support Squadron back when I was getting out. But basically, everything from your cooks to the people that work in the child care centers. I mean, that's what mostly civilians and NAF employees that do that. But then your fitness centers. So MWR, to speak, Army and Marine Corps language, morale, welfare, recreation.
Yep, yep.
Then there's a small contingent that do things outside the lines like mortuary. So I had an opportunity to do the broad spectrum, the billeting or the hotel motel work, and there I worked in the gyms, had my professional training certification for a while, and I worked in a lot of flight kitchens. I really kind of felt my way, and then food rations, deployed a ton because there's always the need for someone delivering the food. So it was just it was an interesting career field because I didn't have to stay in one lane. I wasn't turning the same wrench for 20 years on the same aircraft. So I got a very good opportunity and it, breadth of experience that helps you get these other special duty jobs that I was able to do as well.
You talk about the mortuary job and, a lot of what you do and a lot that people can learn about you. Can you kind of go into what that job, is it an MOS field specifically or part of an MOS field?
It's part of that same services.
Okay.
It's now known as Force Support Squadron. It's merged with a couple of other career fields. No one has ever really explained it better than a crusty old chief that I asked when I was a young airman, why do we do mortuary? He said, son, we own all the refrigerators because we owned all the chow halls. And that's the best I could ever figure out, right? Because it just doesn't make sense. However, it was a taxing job, but basically your duties and responsibilities as the NCOIC, which is there's one deep on every base, non-commissioned officer in charge of mortuary affairs, as you act as the liaison to the family for the commander. The commander is ultimately responsible for making sure, the force support commander, that the families of the fallen, whether it be stateside or downrange, are taken care of, as well as that person's unit commander. So they work form as a team. So basically, you're the commander's eyes and ears in every step of the process. From point of death, sometimes you go to the site, to remains inspections at the funeral home of choice for the family. We're assigning different caseworkers, like your summary courts officers that will handle property and things like that, as well as benefits administrators that will go through their benefits with them. You are the liaison, the family. You are the person that goes with the family, and you view all of these things. You make sure that the contractors that are doing the embalming are doing it by Air Force specs. You're making sure that the coroners in the local area are doing the autopsies. So in that process, you get very invested in the family. You get very invested in the dignity and respect of the fallen airman, soldier, Marine. I've done them all. It's and you grieve without grieving. That makes sense because another human can't see another human lose their life and not grieve in a certain way. Whether you knew them or not, you can put it in a special place, but it will catch up to you, in my opinion.
Let me clarify this. So you're not only dealing with, I don't want to assume, it's not just combat related deaths. You're dealing with other types of civilian, because there's a couple of Marines that I buried in Yuma and they didn't die in combat, but they didn't die on the job either. And so you handled those as well?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, probably 90% of my caseload were those type of cases. And the ones that are unexpected those are the ones that get you, right? I've done my share of combat related as well. I've been downranging, done mortuary, I've done it all. And the ones that really got me, because I say not to lessen the sacrifice because I would never say that. But what I'm saying is the ones that got me were the ones where the families and they were riding a motorcycle and they were doing everything right and somebody cut them off and or man they drowned on TDY or their vacation or just a stupid freak accident and then the countless amount of suicides. Um, just things that don't make sense. Then you're also stuck in this grieving process. You're working with a family and you're stoic. You cannot show emotion, or you're not supposed to, right? But we are emotional creatures. So, um, yeah, it's a unique um, job. I felt very, very grateful to be able to do it because I felt like it was such a heavy burden that others shouldn't have to carry it.
I can see it in your eyes, and I'm listening to you, and I have to think this is the interesting thing about what people in the military do. Now, maybe you never flew an aircraft, maybe you never dropped a bomb, maybe you never fired your M16 in aggression, but your service had a cost to it, didn't it, Justin?
It did. It really did. It cost me my mental health. It really, um, I was diagnosed after probably 6 straight years of doing mortuary. Keep in mind, I was in for 20 years and I did mortuary for 6 or 7 years straight, at one base and in different deployed locations, so sporadically after that. Um, and man, I would find myself struggling with crippling anxiety, dissociative spells. And if you're not familiar with the dissociative spell, I would lose time. I would drive home and had so many stacked traumas that I would consistently be thinking about them, thinking about them, thinking about them, and I'd be 100 miles from my house and not know how I got there. And then the fear and the anxiety and the guilt and the shame of what's wrong with you, shake it off. We're taught on the softball fields, baseball diamonds, football fields of America to suck it up. We're taught in the military that a lot of that, suck it up. We have a job to do. I don't have time to feel. But my brain didn't know that and wasn't registering. So I continue to have these things which started to interfere with my day to day. I could hide it really well. But when I developed a thing later on after I started getting help and treatment called olfactory hallucinations. I would smell anytime I had my ABUs at the time on, which was the Airman Battle uniform, the gray one you might remember. Anytime I had that uniform on, I would smell bodies, and you couldn't tell me anything different. So then that process of just white knuckling your day, it would be to the point of nausea, where I would actually, have to go and vomit in the bathroom. And then my chief and them are like, dude, what's going on with you? Why are you not at formation? Why are you not in uniform? Why all of these things? I was a senior non-commissioned officer and I'm not acting like it on the surface, right? I'm missing formations. I'm doing these things all because I'm trying to just not feel this way and trying to white knuckle it. And your brain don't care. Your brain is going to, it's going to override all common sense and all other things. So then it's looked at as behavioral, right? We can't see the injuries that I have, but I can see that you're not wearing a uniform and you're a senior non-commissioned officer and you're supposed to be setting the example. So then I finally just said, hey, I need help. I can't do this on my own. And luckily, I'll give all the credit to the Air Force because they supported me. They allowed me to be the first active duty member to serve alongside with the post-traumatic stress service animal in 2010.
Really?
They allowed me to really kind of lean into it and say, hey, we're going to do something about this. It shouldn't be shameful. I just had some great commanders. Colonel Burrell at the time, who was my commander, really leaned into it and said, hey, man, whatever you need, because your service has value. And I had never experienced that level of support, so I really didn't know how to act. So they started letting me wear my uniform, PT uniform, to work. But that's when the talking around the water cooler in the office. What's this Joe do? Why does he get to all of that kind of stuff when they don't know or understand? And of course, my commander's not going to come out and say, "Hey, I've given him a waiver to be able to wear his PT gear all day. He's dealing with some things." they're not going to ask that question, but they are going to stand around the water cooler, and you get stopped getting invited to the things. And eventually it led to me just being asked to work from home while I was going through my med board in the last year of my service, which was a gut punch. So I went from super supportive to just, hey, can you just work from home? And being a Marine, that don't happen,
No.
right? So yeah, I lost my identity really quickly. I had about a year to think about, man, what do I do? And you want to talk about suicidal ideations, and I'm going through a process of mental health cognitive breakdown, and I've been asked to be isolated from my team. Um, so it was a scary time. And thank God I have a beautiful wife who's also in the military and going through her own medical board, Shar. And we've been married. This July will be 28 years.
What?
Yeah.
Fantastic, man.
We met as both met in the 1900s, My my kids say that. By the way, my kids are 31 and 26, so they're not kids anymore. I got grandchildren now, but
You
it's
don't look a day over 28.
come on, thanks. I appreciate it, man. I do a lot of the holistic stuff and try to stay mind, body, spirit. And that's part of the healing, right? Moving past it or moving through it. I believe that you never get over it, right? I still have my days. My boss will tell you, it's a struggle to keep me employed sometimes. It really is because I still have, I'm still 90% and I struggle. But what I do, it transitions really well at Warriors Heart because I get it. I've been there. Those guys that come through the gates and they need help. I've walked that path. So when I tell them what I did or what I've done in the military, they're like, oh, okay. Automatic credibility. Like they're like, oh, this dude, he gets it. Right. So I have to sit there and like, oh, this is just some behavioral health exec doesn't understand me. No, man. I've been there. I've been to treatment. I've done it all. Right. I get it. So
Well, I wanted to ask you, not only you going through this major transition in your life during this time, we're going back to 2012, 2013. You also write the book, And Then I Cried, Stories of a Mortuary NCO. Was the book a catalyst for healing? Was it like, hey, I know I'm leaving the service, I'm going to write this now? How the book how did the book figure into, what you did, Justin?
that's a great question. So actually, I went in 2011. I went to treatment for post-traumatic stress. I went to an inpatient treatment without my dog. And there I found, it was more of a punitive program, like most behavioral health settings, right? Lockdown, no single file lines of lunch. It didn't feel like help. It felt like jail. But I found there a counselor that tapped into something in me. And writing was because one of our assignments on a day-to-day basis was um, basically to write down your traumas. And we would sit down in a group every day and read it. We had to handwrite them. She wanted you to feel it, right? So everybody go around the room and they'd read their stories, and it was just different variations of the same trauma. Typically, I would have a different one every day. It was cathartic for me because it was like, I don't have to carry this alone. It's out there. And then, but I never felt worthy of those traumas because I wasn't, like you mentioned, I wasn't a door kicker, man. I didn't take any bullets. The places I deployed to had, McDonald's and I've deployed to a bunch of different places, but man, I was at Kobar and all of these other places, but man, I wasn't in the fight, so I didn't deserve to have PTSD. Saying that out loud now is so absurd, right? So finding writing gave me some relief that I hadn't experienced yet. And I was trying to find everything that wasn't pills because of what I've so many overdoses,
Yep.
what I've seen, so many alcoholics, so many, in my time being mortuary, I didn't want to be any part of that. So I was always very med adverse. So I said, all right, writing my stories helps me. It feels like help, even for a moment, right? So I wanted more of that. On my way out, that therapist stopped me and she said, hey, man, I know you're going through a tough transition at home, being, kind of asked to work from home and different things, but could you spend that time writing? when you're allowed to, not on the clock or if you're supposed to be on your computer, but when you're allowed to, when you're not on the clock, can you spend that time writing? Because I really think that your stories will help others. And I think you should write a book. And I was like, and I had toyed around with the idea in the past, like, man, I have an interesting story not a lot of people know about how it's done and behind the curtains. And as long as it's done tastefully, respectfully, I could see myself. So the second I got home, I started writing that book. I hand wrote it in 30 days. Um, and then I would read it back to myself in the mirror. And if it didn't evoke the right emotion in my face that I was watching, thinking back, I probably should have recorded it. I don't know. Might have been before video recording time. I don't know. It's been a while, but if I read a line and I didn't evoke that emotion in my own face, because I can't hide it. If I'm feeling it, you'll see it in my face. Um, I rewrote it because I wanted the reader, I wanted it to be, um, man, I wanted them to be able to help carry some of the load, if that makes sense. Because, and that's why I did it, because it was selfish in a way, because it helped me. And what I could do is put these traumas in this book and tell myself that's where they live, right? Um, Happenstance, I just happened to be doing a radio interview, uh, not about the book, but there was a guy named Scott Ledger. He's passed since, and he used to do a show called 2100 Hours, and he would host the veterans he would give them a solid open mic hour to tell their stories to whoever would listen. And I called in all the time. And that night, before I came on, he was hosting this guy named Eric Shaw, who had just started a publishing company after struggling with trying to get his book published, Brave Souls or Brave Rifles. So he started his own. He stayed on and listened to my interview and heard my story. And he goes, man, if you got more like that, I'd be interested in publishing your stories. And that was a God moment because he stepped in and I was his first, outside of himself, I was his first published author. So I didn't have to go and find all of these literary agents. God gave me that. And since then, man, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten messages from people, man, your book helped me, this and the other.
Oh,
I've had
that's awesome.
people like didn't love it, but that's okay. Um, but man, I tell you, I recently got one from um, a senior non-commissioned officer that worked a pretty severe casualty, a dorm blow up, and her team was struggling, and she wanted to buy each one of them a copy of the book. She said, "Man, you hit it on the head. I didn't know how to put it into words, but I think this will help them." And man, it just warms my soul that, since I published in 2012, right before I got out of the service, and that it's still helping people. It really makes me smile. I don't talk about it a lot anymore because it's just it's taken its own life. So thank you for allowing me to share that part of my story because uh, I've to be honest with you, I've kind of moved past the book stage. I mean, it's still out there and available, but I don't actively market it anymore because it's taken its own life. So,
Well, it's just I've talked to other veterans who have written their stories, whether it's about their PTS journey, their post-transition journey, any aspect of their veteran service. And looking at, the composition of the book, I'm like, it almost seemed like this is your goodbye to the Air Force. Nothing negative, but hey, I'm like you said, you put your Air Force experience in this book, and we're moving on to another chapter. This is back in 2013. Now it's 2026. So time has passed.
Yeah.
What was the last, before we get into Warrior's Heart, I really want to get into that, but
Yeah.
what was the last 10, 13 years like before we get to Warrior's Heart?
Well, I can tell you that the transition is extremely hard from military to civilian life.
Yeah.
Before I started working at Warriors Heart, I had 7 different jobs. I would either get in my own way and then add struggling with a mental health issue like post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive, all the things that I have. And then all the aches and pains of 20 years in service, and trying to go from, because the last duty I worked at the Air Force headquarters level for the Inspector General of the Air Force. So I had a really high special duty job, one deep. Nobody else in my career field had this job. Going from that real big jobs to, hey, here's your bag of pills at the VA. come see us in 3 months. So at first I was like, hey, I'm leaning into this. I'm going to go fishing. I got, I have a retirement because I was able to get to 20. I'm medically retired after 20, so I'm one of those concurrent receipt veterans that gets both retirement and VA disability. So I was able to go. I'm going to go fishing, but man, you can only go fishing so many times. And it got to a point where, I look back and laugh now, but it was a big part of my day. Like, it was weird. I would look forward to the mailman coming every day.
Yes.
And if there wasn't mail or he didn't come, I had the worst day. Thank God that I had the wherewithal that I had seen what I'd seen and I didn't turn to drinking or drugs, right? Because that's what we find most people happen, right? They substitute that because, man, there were days where, man, I know what gunmetal tastes like, and it ain't fun, right? So there are just days and days and days. I was blessed to have a partner that knew and was served herself and said, "Hey, man, enough, right? It's time to get help again. No, I'm not going to let you sit around and play Call of Duty for 18 hours a day, I'm not going to let you sit around and just wait on the mail. You're going to get out and get employed. You're going to get purpose again." And wives, they can see right through our mental health or not. They can see right through it, right? And she's struggling with her own medical issues. She was medically retired at 19 years, 1 month.
Oh man. Oh,
Yeah. And so you want to talk about feeling some kind of way about military service. I think for the first 5 years she got out, I struggled to get her out of bed.
wow.
But she always showed up for me, and she still shows up for me every day.
Well,
So that God's blessed me
just
with a partner that, I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but man, he's really blessed me with somebody that really gets me and understands the plight. So
well, just if I can to lighten up just a little bit. Every time I'm divorced and happily divorced, but every time I think, I'm in a pretty good place. I hear a story like yours. I'm like, what would that be like to have a true ride or die?
yeah.
And you guys had to, ride at dawn. I just want to thank you for sharing that because I'm like, I'm pretty good. I don't need a wife, but I hear a story like that, and it's like, well, where would you be without your wife? Where would she be without you?
I,
And
I would not be on this earth.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can say that equivocally. My wife has kept me. And the one thing I will share with you, there are days that I don't always feel that way.
oh, I'm
Because
sure.
anytime you live with someone 28 years consecutively, you get on each
28
other.
years.
But I'm going to tell you this. I believe that a promise is a promise.
Yeah.
That, we've been through I mean, the range of things that our marriage has seen and traversed is lengthy and long. And I can tell you that when we both stood on that altar and said, to have and to hold till death do us part, that's what we meant. So these challenges financially, I mean, I've nearly gone bankrupt. There's been infidelity, you name it. We've been through it. And I'm going to tell you, we stuck by each other's side. Now that my children are grown, they, some of them still live with us, but, and we get to see our granddaughter every day because she lives with us as well. We have a unique opportunity to look back and see how blessed we really are because not everybody has been able to weather those struggles, and we really have. And I've learned that at Warriors Heart. I've done more healing here as a staff member than any sessions I've ever done, any type of stuff. That just the professional development we do here, and the people that lead this place. Our leadership, our founders just get it,
Well,
and they
yeah.
understand.
Tell me about Warrior's Heart because I look at it and I've seen a lot of nonprofits. I've seen a lot of, third party service providers or VA approved service providers.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it. It's in the San Antonio area of Texas. It's its own little ecosystem entity, but it's a really interesting service offering for those veterans in needs.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more and how you got connected with it.
So thank you for that. It's man, anytime I get the opportunity to talk about Warriors Heart, so hang on because I'm passionate about this
Yeah,
place,
yeah.
right? Um, Man, Warriors Heart is a treatment center for drugs, alcohol, post-traumatic stress, any type of co-occurring psychological disorder that you might think. It's exclusive to the warrior population. Why is that different? Because a lot of the programs out there that treat warfighters are not exclusive. They have tracked programs and they may do several groups, but we are exclusive to that population. That's military, veterans, law enforcement, first responders. If you fit into those categories, you can come to and you're struggling with addiction and co-occurring psychological disorders, we can treat you. But we don't do it. Like when I shared my experience, I went to a hospital. It was a behavioral health center. And I say punitive a lot because that's what a lot of those programs feel like because it's in a behavioral health center and they mean well, but it's a punitive type environment. This is this 543-acre ranch in Bandera, Texas. We've got exotic animals. We not only have all the alphabet soup folks, doctors, nurses, and all of that stuff, but we also have a model that's, scientifically works. We follow the steps, all of the things, right? But then they have periods of time where they get to decide. That is critical in a warrior's healing. Having some say-so in your day, because these men and women have really big, giant jobs, right? And to take that away from them and say, hey, you don't have no say-so in your day. Hey, right, we always say, right place, right uniform, be there, right? But in the afternoons, they get to choose from elective periods. We have a full metal shop, a full wood shop. They can interact with our canines in our canine academy. We have cooking with chef. We have fish with 2 lakes here in Texas, and in Virginia, at our Virginia campus, we have a 30-acre lake. So we have a wood chop or a wood cutting elective. You name it, you can be engaged as much as you want. Art, we reinvested into an art building that's amazing because what we find in the arts is that's where the unspoken traumas come out. The things you can't talk about or you haven't shared, those complex issues come out in the painting. And we've had some amazing art pieces come out of here. So in the afternoons from 1 to 5, they get to choose where they're at and what they're doing, right? They'll sign up for different electives and it keeps them engaged. And then the evenings, so mornings are like group therapies and different movement-based type of things. Yoga, mindfulness, nature walk. We have like 3.2 miles of nature trails on Warrior's Heart. And then they'll do the heavier groups, from 10 to noon. And then from 1 to 5, 1 to 5, they do the electives. And in the evening period, we work on more social things like your Warriors Anonymous or AA type led groups and things. They do get their phones when they're with us for after a 3-day like blackout period, where we can stabilize. Then they can every night from like 5 to 6 or somewhere around there, they can have their phones. And then on the weekends, we give them a little bit more grace on time so they can stay connected with their family. They can not miss that bill because that's what derails treatment a lot is folks, not being able to stay connected. Now, sometimes that's a double-edged sword where that could be a distraction, right? So
yeah.
it's a limited amount of time, but they do have access to that. And they're around their brothers and sisters. So it's warriors healing warriors. That's our mission here. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have all the right therapists and all that because we do. We boast a very large clinical population that treats our warriors. And what's kind of unique and different, we're a 42-day minimum program. Most treatment centers are 28 days.
I was going to say, that seems long than usual.
It's what we found when we followed the normal, and the reason is, and the why there is most insurance pays on a 28-day cycle.
Yeah.
So that's why most programs are 28 days. And you get one therapist. So that's 4 iterations of one-on-one therapy while you're with them. We have 2 therapists per client. So we have a licensed chemical dependency counselor and a licensed professional counselor because we're going to work on both the traumas and the addiction while you're here. So they see each one of those once a week. They do small caseload groups. We cap our clinicians at clinician numbers. So that clinician, say he or she has 10 clients, they'll also do a small caseload group with those 10 clients. So they'll see each one of their counselors for up to 4 sessions a week. So that's go from a 4 iteration of treatment to a 24, plus all the other things that we do. Plus, not a lockdown. We don't take your belts. We don't take your shoes. We do a pretty good job of making sure that you're well vetted before you come in here.
It seems more human too. Like you're not being in prison because you're treated like you're a person.
Well, and a warfighter.
Yeah.
Not only because not or a police officer or that, because you deserve it. That's how you deserve to be treated. And that's what we believe. And everyone on our staff believes that. And if they don't, they weed themselves out pretty quickly because I'm going to tell you, um, our main goal is to make sure you're treated with dignity and respect at all times. This is not easy work. We're asking you to do some hard lifting while you're here. This is a training program. We're training confident, sober warriors. And during that time, like any selection or any Q course or whatever you go through, it's going to be hard times. And that doesn't escape us either. Guess what? Men and women get calls while they're here and they are going through divorce while they're in treatment. How do you handle that, right? Well, you're in the best place in the world to handle it because you have access to not only your peers, but you have access to the best clinicians in the country, in my opinion. So, we boast a really high rate of retention. Over 90% of the warriors that start our program complete our program.
Now, just educate me here. What is your role with Warriors Heart, Justin?
So I'm the special operations director. So my job here, I've held, like we talked about in the Air Force, I've had many different roles here at Warriors Heart in the 9 years I've been here. I've been here almost since we opened. I started in admissions as an advocate, then I became the admissions director did business development for a couple of years. Now I do special operations. Leave it to Tom Spooner to make an Air Force guy a special operations director. But one of our core values is we're a little goofy, so I think that's what that is. But my job is to tackle special projects, to work with the founders directly on new builds and new facilities. Sometimes, like for instance, when we stood up Virginia, took a small team down there, kind of like an Advon team, advanced team, go in and make sure everything we need, get the right people, start hiring, all of those things. And then we are able to take the keys in May and open by September 11th. So it minimizes that time to do those kind of things. Any special projects I can incorporate into any team at Warriors Heart. So if maintenance needs help, man, I'm out there in the pasture cutting wood. If the shop needs help, I'm over there helping them build a tomahawk. If housekeeping needs help, I'm pressure washing. You name it. So I get to be the flex play. Just.
Let me ask you this. You've gone through your own journey and you've been very clear and candid. This is still a daily battle. Like the battle's never truly over, and you choose how you're going to go through that journey. But let me ask you, what's it like watching a veteran or first responder or law enforcement come through and you see yourself in them?
Oh man, that one hits home because it happens almost every day.
Oh wow.
Right? You talk about purpose, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I have been, people ask me, how you doing? In the morning, most people say, great. I say, I'm blessed because I believe it. And I'm blessed to be able to be a part of their healing. A lot of guys will tell us, oh, you saved my life. I didn't save your life. The guy that answered the phone didn't save your life. You did. You're doing the work. And that's hard for them to believe. But man, we are, as a whole, as a collective, Warriors Heart team saving lives. And to see them restores my purpose every day because this is just like going through treatment. This is not easy work. I mean, when you have people that are struggling, it takes its toll on you. But man, if you have the right tools, and I'm a testament to that, right? So even when those days happen, I have the right tools, right? So I've been a well-equipped warfighter on the war at home. And I believe every one of our staff members are on the front lines of the war at home. We're saving lives. We've had over 4,000 warriors go through our program in 10 years. That's 4,000 people that have the opportunity to regain their purpose. And I think that's where we lose them, especially in the veteran comp, when we lose purpose. And if you have a deep understanding of that, so most of our staff do.
You've seen people then at their lowest when they're really struggling and going through that struggle. You mentioned divorce during this program and just the physiological aspects of substance abuse and addiction. I got to ask you then, Justin, what's it like when either a first responder or a veteran just like knocks it out of the park, or they come back to you in a year and says, you know what, I was in the valley and now I'm on the mountain and life has gotten pretty good? And because You gave of yourself in the Air Force. You're giving of yourself now. There's a cost to what you do. What's it like when you see it work?
Man, it makes it all worth it, right? All the late nights, hard times, hard phone calls. Um, I believe the journey I've had was because I was supposed to be here. To understand the way these warriors, this is where I'm supposed to be, right? So when I see a warrior and I can see it a mile away, like that guy's going to do great. We had one not too long ago, and of course, I'm never going to share anybody's name or anything like
Sure,
that.
sure.
This particular warrior, I was like, that guy's going to help a lot of people, right? And you can just see it in their attitude, the lack of ego. Because sometimes you get folks that come through here, the entitlement or this, that, and the other. We get to help them through that process, right? And give them some tools. Because the one thing that is promised and guaranteed is when you leave here, you're going to face the enemy, right? Tom Spooner says it often. You are going to face the enemy. So we have to get them prepared. We only got 42 days. So when I see that light turn on, usually it happens in the first or second week. And they start leaning into this program. I'm like, there you go. There's another one, right?
Yeah.
And there's times when, man, they missed something and they need to come back, and that's okay, right? And what I tell, a lot of times families were like, well, we get, Jimmy relapse and we don't know what to do and da, 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 and I'm like, listen, and I always tell the families, listen, man, if he had cancer and he fought it and beat it, and then 6 years later it came back, would you say, well, we tried? No, you just, no, you'd say fight it again. And that's what we do. We fight it again. And then we start looking at it as the disease that it is, killing more of our war fighters than actual war. Then we can start to tackle this. And um, I think we're on the road there.
What's next for Warriors Heart as an entity? You mentioned there's two locations for Warriors Heart.
In 2023, we found a Virginia property. We opened up out there. We have a 60-bed facility there in Virginia, right about an hour and a half south of DC.
Okay.
And it's a 500 plus acre property as well. Beautiful. A lot more equestrian vibes there because it was a former equestrian center for a behavioral health center that had an equestrian aspect to it. But we offer everything we offer here, there, in about an hour, 45 minutes north of Richmond, hour and a half south of DC.
Okay.
But as this need, it's growing. We will continue to look for new facilities. Right now, our current project is we're building our headquarters here in Texas for our shared services staff and our command center, as well as a training center. Basically, we do a ton of professional development here at Warriors Heart because, man, if you don't take care of your staff and have them, this is hard work, right? Then guess what? You're not going to have a Warriors Heart to make sure. So we bring in professional coaches like Blair Singer and do leadership. In 2021, we took a team of 17 staff members and did the mountain leadership course in Africa, and we climbed Kilimanjaro as a team. And Warriors Heart does things like that. They buy back into the staff that give so much every day, give opportunities to have these very high level trainings. So we needed a training center to be able to do that. And then also sharing that with our community, being able to say, hey, we have this, hey, police officers, you need to have a safe place that's not a hotel where everybody's out protesting you. Come to Warriors Heart. We'll provide that conference space for you. So those are the kind of things that are on the horizon in the very near future. Oh, we have a podcast studio we're building over there too. So that's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Maybe if I get down to Texas, I'll come and check it out.
You're always welcome. I'd be happy to give you a tour and show you around.
Absolutely. How can people connect with you all to help learn more, support what Warriors Heart's doing, Justin?
The easiest way is the website, www.warriorsheart.com. We also have, we have advocates standing by. If you know someone struggling, give us a call. The number's right there on that website, warriorsheart.com. It'll tell you all about our programs, what we offer. But reach out because, we have our admissions advocates are there and they're filled with people that get it, that have been there, that understand. So it's not a typical call, and the first thing they ask you is, what's your insurance, right? I mean, we do accept insurance, and that's part of the conversation, but the first thing we say is, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sometimes just a listening ear. When you're at your very worst, I've had conversations turn from tears to laughter in less than 30 minutes. You
Yeah.
think about how amazing that is. I called at rock bottom in rock bottom's basement, strung out on whatever, alcohol, lost my wife, done whatever. And then 30 minutes later, I'm in a mental place where I'm laughing. That's happens every day at Warriors Heart because the people that answer the phone are me and you. They are, they are LAPD. They are Bossier City Sheriff. They are a wife or a spouse of a military member. They serve a veteran, you name it. It's filled with people that get it, and that's critical to the understanding. So they'll call, you'll work through, hey, the different process of getting you in. Like I said, we do a very thorough screening to make sure that you meet our level of care. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to meet our level of care, and we are going to get you in. If for some reason we can't, we're going to refer you to a higher level of care, try to get you stabilized on whatever it is that puts you outside of that and get you back to us.
There's so many nonprofits and avenues for people, but I think it's what you said. It's about redefining your purpose.
Sure.
And it's about having that extended support, and it's about being treated like a person, not just a case file number. You know, I'll close with this. One thing that's kind of worrying me, Justin, is we've had this big focus on the 22 a day for the last 10, 15 years, and the number hasn't moved that much. Do you really feel like your kind of organization is the way forward to make that number go down and help people through that? And you're doing something that's missed by other clinicians and other types of modalities.
I don't feel that way. I believe it.
You believe it?
It's a core belief I have, and why we do certain things. I do need to correct you. We're not a nonprofit, just so you understand. We were a private model.
Okay.
Works better.
I missed that.
Yeah, just a lot of folks think we are because of the great work we're doing, but we are a private. But we do work hand in hand with tons of nonprofits, Avalon Action Alliance, Gary Sinise Foundation, you name it. If they're a nonprofit, they know that we're the real deal, and then so say an advocate's we're struggling with finances because no one comes to rehab on an upswing, right? So if they're struggling financially, we'll help. We're not only that, we'll help find them the funding. So we don't want finances to be a reason why they can't come to treatment.
Well, it's very interesting because you're not a nonprofit. So you're not trying to raise money.
Nope.
You're not trying to.
We're not chasing donor dollars.
Not chasing donor dollars. Maybe let's take my screw up here and make something positive out of it. Is that the way forward? The reason I say that is because I just did this analysis on nonprofits in the United States for veterans, and I'm like, there's almost 100,000 of them now. And we're still not moving the dial. Should people consider doing what you're doing as a business and treat it like a business and focus on the services more than being a nonprofit and just trying to be basically, in fundraising mode all the time?
Absolutely. I believe so because it allows us to provide a level of care to our warriors that you will not get in any government. You will not get in any nonprofit subsidized, in my opinion, organization, because any profits we make, we can put right back into the facility.
I was thinking that, I was going to ask you, like you can reinvest and invest the way you want to.
Absolutely. And we're out and bold into a board that can change. And I mean, classic cases, so many nonprofits, the founders were voted out after 2 or 3 iterations of board changes. It's hard to get 2 people to agree on things. Now get a board of 16 to agree on anything, especially when dealing with donor dollars, right? So they made a conscious effort early on. We're not going to do that. We are going to be a private. We will accept insurance, and that's how we get reimbursed, is through insurance. And like I said, we do work closely with a lot of nonprofits to help warriors find funding that don't have it. Because we don't want to be like, hey, you can't come here. It's never an answer. That's never an okay answer for us. We're going to find a way. And our advocates are well versed on those relationships. We do a lot of business development in that world to make sure that when they call, they know that they're not just sending those donor dollars down the tubes. It's to a program that's, in my opinion, the best in the country. And we have like we didn't get to talk about the aftercare, the results. We have a service called Track 9 that does.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's so Track 9 is a thing we subscribe to, and our warriors fill out surveys every day, and they're outcome measures because people are always, well, what's your rates of relapse? What's this? All of these things. They want hard numbers and data. So we did that, and there's over 200 companies that subscribe to this behavioral health centers, and we're in the top percentage all the time. We just got notification on our internal channels that 3 of our clinicians were recognized through the Track 9 program as outstanding clinicians in the field. So not only, so I love to beat my chest on that. It's because we have the data, and this year we're really working to get into, government, making sure that, hey, when there's a conversation about behavioral health, in DC, we need to be part of that conversation. We need to be the subject matter expert because we believe our model is the best model, and not just for our program, because if other people start doing it this way, it only benefits the warfighter. It only benefits the first responder, the family members that are struggling with this disease of addiction and co-occurring psychological disorders.
Well, it's really interesting because it's almost this hybrid approach where the nonprofit can support the veteran. You can, maintain your business purpose the way you want to, but everybody wins because, again, the warfighter wins. And it's just, you're unique. I haven't run across very few, people doing this as a for-profit business, but it makes sense.
Yes.
And just because I think there's almost too many nonprofits now.
Yeah. Well, the waters get really muddied, and there's a lot of great ones out there.
Sure.
There's ones above reproach. Gary Sinise Foundation strikes right off the top, probably best one I've ever worked with. Gary believes in us, he loves us, and he's, actually met with our founders. And we have the 4 most intelligent people I've met running this place, our founders, right? Everybody knows Tom Spooner, Delta Force operator. This is kind of vision, but Josh and Lisa Lannon, Lori Spooner, his wife, those 4 people, they don't just show up. They are here. They've invested in this place. They live in our community. And they're talking to warriors every day. And man, I tell you, we're just so blessed to have leadership that allows us to be great, if that makes sense.
It does. It does.
And operate in a way that can be beneficial to our, do meaningful, impactful work, but also have a good time doing it. So it's, and then just really being, man, they just created something. I get, like I said, I told you, I get passionate about it because I love this.
I love it.
I love the people I work with and for.
So what's next for you personally, Justin? I mean, this organization is growing. It's in a really good place right now. You're very effective at what you do. Is there any other personal goal that you have at this stage of your life?
Well, man, I recently started up my own business on the side with my son. And for me, what would be great would be, I'm never leaving Warriors Heart until they drag me out of here, right? This is my top one. But to see him be successful in that, he's struggled. He's struggled with addiction over his life, and he's 31 now, and he's getting his life back, and he's starting to. He just got laid off from his work, so I said, let's reinvest in him. So we started. He wanted to do a pressure washing business, so we started a pressure washing business, and I spent a lot of my weekends helping him get it right, and man, to see him be successful in that would be what's next for me. That would be a great feather in the cap, for real.
Well, there's nothing like a father getting to work with, think about it, used to be, you worked with your son, you worked with your dad all the time. Now it's a rare thing. So, I think you are blessed.
Yeah, I am. And the cool thing is we bought a fire truck and we work out of that fire truck. We're a retired fire truck. So it's pretty cool.
No, that's good marketing right there.
It is, man. Everybody shows up and says, what's going on at Jimmy's house? And you're like, they're just cleaning the driveway.
Well, I want a fire truck. I'd pay for a fire truck to clean my driveway. Absolutely.
My wife said most men go through midlife crises and buy Corvettes. You bought a fire truck.
You don't do anything halfway, Justin.
So yeah, that would be to see him be successful would be a feather in the cap. But like I said, they're gonna have to drag me out of here because this is 7 miles from my house. I mean, I've been blessed in so many ways to be a part of this and to see so many lights turn back on. Man, it's just a blessing. It really is.
Well, Justin, I want to thank you for talking with me. Look, ladies and gentlemen, a different kind of story, different kind of MOS. And it really, to me, Justin, it shows that sometimes, yeah, there's a cost to what we do in military service. And people don't see that cost. And you've taken what's happened to you and made it better for somebody else. And you said you've served over 4,000 people in the last 10 years?
In the last 10 years, there's been 4,000 warriors go through, over 4,000 warriors go through one of our campuses. The majority being Texas, because we've been here the longest, but
sure.
Virginia also has some of those.
Just factoring in a failure rate, if you will, or a non-completion rate, however you want to call it, that's still a lot of lives you've touched over the last 10 years. What's the ripple? I just would like to know in my mind as we leave, the ripple effect must be pretty strong.
I believe so. Like our goal, it's our mission's warriors healing warriors, but our vision is 1 million warriors home.
Yeah.
So we say, welcome home to every warrior that comes through the gates at all of our properties because we believe that, right?
Yeah.
It's they've never truly gotten home yet.
Sure.
And this can be that place for them. So the ripple effect is because if you have seen, I can't tell you how many stories like, hey, we've gotten on our alumni, we now have an alumni app and an alumni director. And they're like, hey man, this person, and we have a channel that's like this person contacted us and said they're doing great. They're 2 years sober and they got their family back. Right. So that ripple right there is 3 to 4 plus any future generations that would have been snuffed out. Right. So we've had guys leave here and become the chief of police in their town. And I'm talking big cities, right? But we've had guys go and be SWAT captains, leave here and go. And we had one gentleman get promoted in the military while he was here. His commander flew down and promoted him, which just shows the buy-in from the military community, active duty. They believe in us. They want more places like this. They're clamoring for it. So, and we're going to be here to answer that call.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Jordan, Air Force veteran and now Special Operations Director for Warriors Heart in Texas and Virginia. I'll have all the links to Justin and his work and Warriors Heart in the Aspect Radio show post. And, Justin, I just want to say, what a great way to start, the weekend. What an uplifting conversation. I hope to meet you soon.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Like I said, go find us, www.warriorsheart.com. And if you got any questions, give us a ring. We'd be happy to answer the call.
Anthony B., this one was for you. Thank you very much for your support. I'm Travis with Oscar Mike Radio with my guest, Justin Jordan. We're Mission in Flight. We'll see you next time.
Every generation, every sacrifice. Our nation's service members have stood up for our freedom, our families, and our future. Now it's our turn to stand up for them. This year, you can honor their service in a deeply personal way by sponsoring a $17 Veterans Wreath. Each wreath is more than a symbol. It's a heartfelt tribute to the heroes who served and to the families who carry their legacy. Visit wreathsacrossamerica.org to sponsor a wreath today. This isn't just a wreath. It's a personal gift to an American hero.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.